Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Lampworking 102.4. So a couple of months ago I bought some new colors from CIM and I thought they were just so beautiful together and I couldn't wait to share them with you all. We are going to use them today in a really simple dot pattern bead, and you can use any colors you want to, of course, but I just wanted to showcase these colors with you because I thought they were so beautiful together. And I'm using a black on the background, but in the very end of the demo, you see one that has a clear background. So you can see how different the colors look on a darker or a lighter background. Anyway, I've said enough. Let's go ahead and get right into this demonstration. And as always, I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thank you so much for joining me in this new year, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon. All right, I'm going to start this bead out with a base of black, and I'm just going to go ahead and heat my mandrel up and start to wrap the black on one end and just continue for about, well, maybe an inch or so, my normal large bead size. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I have the mandrel hot to where I'm adding that black glass to, so I don't get a whole bunch of bubbles rising to the surface. And if you do, it's okay. Just go ahead and pop them and keep going. And what I'm going to do here is just do my preliminary shaping, and which really entails just really cleaning up the edges. That's the most important thing. I'm constantly making sure my edges look good right off the bat. And let that cool down for a second, and then we're going to add clear glass all around. So we're going to encase this in clear. And the reason why I want to do this at this point is because I want the pattern to float off the bottom color. So I'm just going to heat my glass up and start from the top and work my way down to the bottom of the glass, making sure that I overlap every swipe. And my bead is pretty hot here, so I'm trying to keep your under bead nice and cool while you add your clear glass on top, so none of that black glass smears underneath. And then once we have the clear on top, I'm going to go ahead and start just shaping up the edges like always. And the shape of this is always going to be a slight taper on both ends, so it's a slight bicone shape, and that will really help my pattern out as I continue to work everything out. So I'm just kind of shaping things up, making sure my edges look nice, and this first shaping is just a barrel shaped bead with the edges slightly tapered. Okay, so let's start adding our pattern. This is a really simple dot pattern, and I'm just going to start out by adding 4 dots on one end of the bead and 4 dots on the other end, and I want to make sure that they are in line with each other. And I'm just using a pre-made stringer. This is the 2 to 3 millimeter stringer that you can buy. Sometimes it's just more consistent for me to use a stringer, and they're already ready to go, so I don't have to spend all my time pulling black and white and clear stringers. Okay, so I'm just going to heat everything up really gently and roll it out, and I'm just looking for those dots to get nice and smooth on the bead, and I just gently taper those edges before I move on. Okay, so the first color that I have here is a Fjord Milky, really beautiful blue. And I'm just going to add this color to a dot, 2 dots on one side, and on the other side I'll add them to the opposite side. So what I'm doing here is basically I'm building a, well, they kind of end up looking like a rainbow. So I'm going to build it one way. I'm going to cascade it from one end to another end on the opposites, if that makes any sense at all. So I want to make sure that I keep my rods of glass in a certain order so I know which one to pick up next. but of course you can add any color that you want on top of this. Just make sure it's kind of a transparency color. These Milky and Misty colors are kind of transparent and kind of opaque, so I really like the way these are working out. And I'm just going to get those really nice and warm and melt it in and give it a very gentle taper. And this is going to start keeping all of those dots going towards the center point, is that rolling into a taper. Okay, so the next row of dots are going to be on the very bottom of the previous dots. The same size dots as before. You're just placing them a little lower than in the middle. So you want everything very slowly coming together in the center. And when I heat these up, I'll be real gentle on the heat. You don't have to scorch anything. And then I'll take it out of the heat and very gently give it a slight taper on both sides. And that will, again, help those dots continue moving towards the center. Okay, so this next color is what is this? This is a Winter Mint Misty. It's a really pretty kind of greenish blue color. You know, when I got these colors, I didn't realize that I kind of ended up having a rainbow of colors. I just saw, I already had the wisteria, so getting the rest of these colors, well, it's really interesting that they made this kind of rainbow look, because this color right here is a Glimmer Misty, and it is not yellow at all, but in the lineup of colors and where it's placed, it certainly kind of makes up for the lack of a yellow in the glass, or in the color scheme. So it was a really interesting color to work with. And all of these CIM colors work beautifully together in the heat. They don't rash out. They just melt really, really nice. Again, I'm just tapering the edges every time. I'm never actually rolling just as a flat roll. Okay, so now we're doing our third row of dots, and we're just continuing to bring everything to the center, and I'm just adding those dots again right at the end of the previous dot. I'm not going over it, I'm just right at the very bottom half of that dot. Okay, hopefully you can see kind of the color scheme that I'm going with. I'm going for a red to blue and then a blue to red on every opposite one. So it's important that I keep all my colors straight, and I know exactly what colors I need to lay down. So I am always putting my colors down on my marvering pad or my graphite pad in the same area, so I know which one to pick up next. Okay, so this third color, or the center color, is a Kiwi Misty, and it's like the perfect green, and because there's only 5 colors here, this is the third color, so I'm going to add this to each dot that is there, all 8 dots. It's nice to work in the center of the mandrel. If you don't, maybe it's something you want to give it a try, but it really helps me because I can turn the mandrel around and work on both ends. It just has always helped me out working in the center. Also because I'm really shaky, it really helps me out. Okay, so I tapered those out, let the bead cool down. It's looking really nice, and I'm going to go ahead and add one of the last layers. I have another one to do after this, but at this point, my dots are getting slightly smaller than before. The first 2 or 3 dots, they're about the same size, and then they just slightly get a little smaller each time I add these dots. Heating it up nice and gentle. You never really want to overheat anything. You notice the shape is still there. It's not drooping anywhere. I'm just trying to heat up what I need to melt down. Okay, so now this color is the Winter Mint Misty. And I'm just going to use this one on 2 sides, and on the opposite 2 sides, I have to make sure I know which ones I need to lay it down on. It can get confusing, and I don't know if I said this or not, but this will look amazing if you want to use a single color for every dot. If you want to use 2 colors or 3, get you know, whatever your favorite colors are. This is a perfect way to you know, showcase a nice display of colors, or a set of colors. Okay, so again, I'm just tapering. You notice everything is pretty much the same as I build this bead up. So I would say that this is a bead that's kind of on the easy end. Okay, so this last little row of dots here are very small, just tiny little dots. And I'm going to end with my colors that I began with, which is the Fjord Milky and the Wisteria. Now, I already had that Wisteria on hand, and you've seen me use it before, but it worked out so wonderfully with this color palette. And it was also really nice to work with a different company of glass as well. I'm so used to working with the Moretti or Effetre glass. I have really enjoyed working with the double helix glass too, but I haven't really gotten very deep into using the CIM colors or the Lauscha colors, or, you know, any of the other companies that I'm forgetting about, which there aren't many. Okay, so we are just about done here with our dot design. And I'm going to give this a nice gentle heat in the center. And this heat in the center is bringing everything towards the middle. And this last taper will kind of start to push those final dots together. And this is where you can really add all sorts of detail and design and extra, you know, doodads here and there. So I decided I'd keep it simple and just add some plunging bubbles in here. So I will heat up the middle 2 dots and use that tungsten pick and push it down nice and deep. If you need to do this more than once, go ahead. Just make sure you're pushing it into the same spot each time. And this action of pushing these 2 edges in, or these 2 ends of the dots in, it kind of cuts everything into what I call as the shell shape. For some reason, it really makes it look completely different. So no matter what you do here, you could add another dot of color if you wanted to. You could add some more bubbles in between these in the areas that are black still. You could add a small bit of color there too. There's so much more you can do here. So in order for me to trap those bubbles real nice, I just added a little bit of clear glass on top of each one to just kind of set those indentations in there and give that bubble somewhere to live. And now what I want to do is start to get my glass dots to float off the background. So this time I decided I would go ahead and try to encase it by wrapping the glass from one end to another and overlapping as I went. So I'm kind of twisting the glass as I go to keep it warm and moving. And right here, things always get a little funky. So I had to grab a fresh rod of glass here, and I was really hasty and I didn't clean it. So it did leave some kind of scum in the clear here, which was kind of disappointing, but you know, live and learn, right? So make sure that you have some extra rods of clear laying around that are clean and ready to use. You don't want to have to grab one off the shelf like I did and, ruin a nice bead because it got a little funky, but that's just the life of the glass, So, actually this worked out really well for me. I went ahead and made sure that everything was nice and coated, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and heat everything up and melt everything back down and smooth the pattern out. I'm not going to do any rolling here. All I'm going to do is just a little bit of shaping on the edges just to get the roundness back that I lost from the heat. Okay, so the second coating of clear is always the one that just makes everything pop and float off of the background. So this time I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and coat with my up and down swipes of clear. And because I'm finished covering the actual dot pattern and I'm just putting clear on top of clear here, I'm not worried about the edge going all the way to the mandrel. All I'm going to do here is just heat that bottom part up where the glass is a little rough and smooth it in. And then I'll do the same to the other side. Just heat that side up where I started those swipes and gently just incorporate it in with the graphite paddle. And that's it, you guys. I'm just going to heat this thing up, and the rounder it gets, the more fuller this pattern is going to kind of bloom out and look. And that is it for our nesting shells with the Milky colors. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you soon in the dungeon.